So, Stacey, tell us about Bales and all that you all have up in Downers Grove and all that you all offer to customers with that.
Sure. Bales was started in 1978. My dad and uncle started the company, and they originally started off as a polishing shop and quickly added services. So today we do diamond polishing still as kind of our core, but do a lot of nickel plating and composite coating. So nickel Teflon, nickel boron nitride, diamond EN. And then we still have hard chrome here as well with diamond chrome. So just a full variety of services. Our main focus has been on plastic injection
Mm-hmm.
molds, but we also do a variety of metal components. So Bales is a true job shop.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking in every industry, everything that's made out of metal. If they'll send it our way, we'll plate it.
Right. I was going to ask you about that. How did you all get back into? How did you all get into the mold industry? So like that was. I always thought that was something you all specialized in. I didn't hear from a lot of other shops that were doing it. Were you? Have you sort of diversified in that some, or are you still doing it as a predominant amount?
A majority of our business is still plastic injection molds. My dad and uncle, when they first started out, it was for a little chrome plating shop in Brookfield, Illinois. And my dad got really good at building conforming anodes. So it was just something that stuck and was kind of in his wheelhouse. And for us, it's not something that a lot of people specialize in, and plastics is everywhere. So it's just been really good for us. It's a deep understanding. It's very precision coating, tight
Mm-hmm.
tolerance kind of plating. It's not just your run of the mill shovel in, shovel out kind of stuff. It's a lot more technical and attention to detail on our part.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I was going to say with the molding, I've often heard this, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's very, you need something very wear resistant, very corrosion resistant, right? These are used many, many times. Is that the case? Why
Yeah,
it's sort of a specialty to do?
it's a variety of issues, right? From lubricity to making sure the plastic slides off the parts. Some of
Hmm.
our customers are molding glass fill materials, so having things that are super abrasive resistant is their
Hmm.
top priority. Other people are operating in wet environments, so the corrosive properties are important. So we really try to listen to our customers and understand their challenges, and then help
Hmm.
guide them to a coating or a service that we think will best suit their needs. But the nice thing about being a job shop is that we have, a plethora of services in-house, and then, maintaining close relationships with a lot of our, quote unquote competitors in the area. We're able to also refer customers out to, one of our friendly um, companies in the area that can also, better assist them if that's the case. So it's always
Right.
good to maintain those relationships.
Right. You all just went through a major transformation, right?
Yes.
I'm sure your checkbook's deleted a little bit more. This was a major project. Did you have to add on to your building, or or did you just replace the two that were there?
So, our dad had put on a significant expansion to our building several years ago, and that space has been kind of sitting empty since
Oh,
he left. And we've been kind of trying to figure out, exactly how we wanted to make that space come to life. And this was always kind of part of the plan. But, between the recession and COVID and, all these other wonderful surprises that come up
right,
along the way, it just took us a little longer to get the new equipment in than we had expected. But the nice part is, being a job shop, I think we have a lot of different challenges, and it
right,
wasn't something that we could just go to a catalog and pick out, because it wasn't a
right,
one size fits all system that we needed. We really needed a company that was going to listen to our challenges and kind of talk through ways to make things more flexible. We
hmm,
need the flexibility to be able to run the lines how we need to run the lines today, depending on what work is in house. So um, I think the planning process for us took a little bit longer than maybe some other companies would have taken. This is maybe about a
right.
three-year project in the works, from, very first conversation through design, through build, and now installed. Um, but yeah, it's great to see it all come to life.
Right, right. So did that replace two lines, or are those additional
Yeah,
lines?
so
Or
this will be upgrading our two existing nickel plating lines. They're a little bit older. I know everybody loves to duct tape things back together, and we're almost at that point now.
right, right,
It's kind of getting to that nickel and diming of, replacing this tank and replacing this liner, and this pump is broken. And, our existing lines were built for back in the day. And there's been a lot of advancements from, better rinsing, better controls on your plating baths, automated controls on your plating baths and things like that. So taking into consideration, a lot of the technology improvements and just a lot of our pain points over the years and how to solve some of those challenges, we were able to add in, the counterflow rinse tanks. And um, one of our biggest challenges in this project is that Bales is a zero discharge facility. So, and we always have
Hmm.
been. So trying to mitigate those counterflow rinses and the additional rinse water was a concern of
Right.
ours, and how we were going to maintain our zero discharge status. So we were able to work all those out through the design, and everything is come up exactly like we wanted it.
Yeah, like I said, it's got to be engineered correctly, right? And and that takes a long time sometimes to to kind of plan out and make sure it's going to work and everything. You said about a 3 year process. It seemed like early on. Were you really committed to doing this? I mean, I'm trying to think back. That's right after recession, right? Right after
Good
everything
thing.
went down. Employees are hard to find, but I guess it was something that you probably had to do knowing the ROI that's going to come with that, right?
Yeah, it was something, we've been talking about it for years, and there's never, it's like, when do you want to have kids? There's just never a good time to pull the
Right,
trigger sometimes on these projects. And sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. And all the stars are starting to align with, financing and having our ducks in the row, and continuous, revenue growth over the last 10 years. So we just felt like we were on a, good stable ground to start those conversations. And
right.
my background is more business, finance, not
Hmm.
necessarily in the plating world. So when you start getting super technical on plating lines and all the dotting the I's and the T's, we really needed to
Right,
work with some solid partners that could walk us through that and over explain, how things work, and we could explain our pain points and work together to come up with a great solution to help solve some of these problems. So
right.
um,
Yeah.
that might have played into a little bit of the 3 year drawn out process. But
Right. Right. Yeah. And like I said, you've got to find the right partners to help you build this thing. Did you,
yeah,
was that something you settled on early, or did you, kind of talk to some other shops, see who they had used and how it went? Cause it's all different. Right. And some of these things got to be built, and, I guess that took some time to make sure you were, working with the right people, I guess you wanted to
yeah,
work with.
absolutely. We've got some really great partners. Mike Lindemann at John Steiner and Associates. He's been a long
Hmm.
time supplier of ours, and just one of those really great people that just, no matter what the challenge is, if you call him, he's going to help you, and he's going to reach out to his network, and he's going to, find solutions. So when we first started talking about these new plating lines, the first name that popped up for him was Brian Green at Plating Specialists, and
Hmm.
brought him out, and just had really great conversations, good synergy. And those guys are patient beyond words, and
You've done it a few times, I'm sure. Yeah.
did a
Yeah.
lot
Well,
of
this is
stuff
a
with him. It was
Yeah,
good.
like I said, this is a large capex project, and you've got to get it. It's almost like a one shot deal. You got to get it right. You don't want to go back and do it differently with that. And you did add like I said, the counterflows, the hoist, things like that. So, like I said, major upgrades to really, I think, to do a little bit more automation is wherever you can, I guess, on some of that.
Yeah, and it's hard at job shop, right? Because we can't have
Right.
PLCs and everything's automated and controlled. But we try to listen to a lot of our operators and some of the issues that they were having on the line, and trying to reduce redundancies, make things more efficient, and then thinking forward too, and workforce challenges. How can we make the space more aesthetically pleasing, more pleasant to work in? From brighter colors, better lighting, all those things, just to make it feel more comfortable, more user friendly. So we took a lot of those things into account when we were designing this, and the entire space, really, to make that room come to life. And like you said, just with some of the automation, with better
Mm.
tank controls and chemistry controls, and much larger hoist systems, much larger than we'll
Right.
ever need, but much safer for the employees. And there's no more ripping on the hoist trying to make it lower and all those
Right.
manufacturing. So um, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got like you said, with the new lines, it's going to improve your throughput. I'm assuming. Uh, how do operationally? I mean, is that just something that you just does it cause any problems with that you're able to put parts through at a better, faster pace sometimes? Like, that's a good thing. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
But
we're kind of landlocked in the space that we're in right now with our existing plating lines. So that was kind of one of our biggest challenges, is that we didn't necessarily want to build a line that was going to be okay for today. We wanted to make sure that
Right.
this line was going to be able to sustain us into the future as well. So we over added plating tanks on this line, knowing that we're
Mm.
probably not going to use all of them straight out of the gate, but it'll give us a lot of flexibility to be able to, add in duplicate plating tanks if we need to, if that's the work that's coming in today. And then in the future, it'll give us the ability to add on new nickel products and services at the end of the line. So it kind of opens up more windows for us to get creative and add more things.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, and with being zero discharge, I mean, that's an engineering feat in itself, and bringing in the new lines with a lot more. I'm assuming that had to take some time to really make sure. I mean, did you make any changes to that to the wastewater treatment, or is that?
No, so we don't have any wastewater treatment system here on site at
Okay.
all. We're taking our rinse water and we're letting the solids fall out, and then we're pumping that clean water off of clean-ish water off of the top, and we're evaporating it. And then
Okay.
we waste
Right.
haul any kind of sludge that's left over. So making sure we had the right evaporator systems. We did upgrade our evaporators so that we have more on site. But
Mhm.
other than that, it's pretty easy.
Right. Right.
More
I saw. Yeah, best you can. Right. Yeah. I saw on your site something that was interesting. Yeah, the cycle times and things like that. You have like a calculator on there. Explain to me a little bit about what that is, how it affects some of your customers. What is that all about with that?
So cycle time for our customers, plastic injection molders in specific, it's how many parts they can produce in an hour. So the more that their plastic is sticking to the mold, the less parts they're able to produce. So by adding different coatings and reducing that friction, can help them actually produce more parts. We've actually even seen, case studies where we had a customer that was going in, and after so many shots, the plastic would start sticking to the mold.
Mm.
So they had operators physically going into the mold to clean the mold, which
Mm.
resulted in a lot of workers' comp injuries because they were going in and trying to clean hot molds. So we were able to apply a coating, no more cleaning, no more scrubbing, just producing parts. So those cycle calculators are my sister actually prepared that for us and worked with our sales and marketing team to, again, it's always just
Right.
trying to solve our customers' pain points and trying to help them prove out ROI on some of the different things they can do to protect the life of their molds.
Right, right, yeah, definitely. And I know you all are very unique. You all have a lot of proprietary chemistry that you've got. You've trademarked a lot of these. I know with the nickel and the boron nitrate, those things.
Mhm.
That's something you guys have been doing for a while, haven't you? Been kind of
Yeah.
doing your own home brew on that, exactly what you need. And I guess a lot of that came specifically from the mold processes or the mold customers that you were having, or
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of our customers and what their pain points are, and developing coatings around those. A lot of them, you'll see them at other platers as well. The advantage for us to trademark those coatings is that our customers eventually will start calling those out on specs,
Hmm.
meaning that they can only send those parts and fails.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're the only person that's got it, what
No,
are
we're
the
not
odds
the
of
only.
that? Right. Yeah. And like I said, I know you've got even with the diamond EN that you're working with, you're doing a lot of that too. So, which is like I said, I don't know if that's something would have been difficult getting off the shelf from some of your suppliers, but again, you've got people there that are sort of doing some of these formulations for you, or you're working with a partner on this, or
No, we have a full-time in-house chemist, Jamie Santiago. He's
mm,
amazing. He's kind of our mad scientist, and when we present challenges to him, he's pretty creative at finding solutions. The Diamond EN in specific was developed because we started having customers that were, starting to shy away from the chrome a little bit more, but they still needed that hardness and
mhm.
those abrasion properties that the Diamond EN now has. So it's just kind of a nickel solution to something that chrome, characteristics. So
Right, right, yeah, and like you said, you're doing a lot of the mold and everything. But you mentioned some other industries you all are in. Have you broadened that? Got more of a diversification, or what are some of the markets that you're serving now with that?
yeah, a little bit. We do some work with fasteners, textiles, a little bit of aerospace, some automotive kind of work. Um, a little bit all over the place. Even plastics industry. I mean, if you think of plastics in everything. So we're
Right.
already organically in every industry there. But now we're starting to see some offshoots a little bit. Like I said, the fasteners are more of like an end use product, some things like that. But
Right.
it's a very small niche with the coatings that we provide for those kind of customers.
Right. When you and Sarah took over when your father passed, you like I said, you handle the business end of it, right? Not everybody's a technical. I'm not a technical person, but let the professionals handle that, right? How do you all split that up, you and Sarah? What's her responsibility, and what are you all doing? What are you doing with that?
So my role is the president, so I'm doing a lot of the
Mhm.
strategic planning. I deal with a lot of the finances, the legal, big relationships, big ideas, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Sarah's the head of our sales and marketing department. So Sarah is responsible for all of our beautiful branding, our trade show booths, all the awesome articles and Facebook and social media posts that you see out there.
Right.
Um, so it's nice because we've leveraged our talents to really drive the company forward, and then we've also built up a great leadership team with human resources, operations, and finance. So we're starting to slowly figure things out and working to build the company up, and we have some big revenue and employee headcount growth goals over the
Mm.
next 5 years. So hoping
Mm.
our 50th year in business is going to be a bang out one.
Right. So where how many employees do you have though now? The whole
We have
team. What do you have?
28 employees.
Really? Do all that with just 28? And what are you expecting it to go to though?
We're
Um,
thinking to get to our revenue goal, we're thinking closer to 45 to 50.
mm,
So hoping to
right.
double almost the head count in the next 5 years. So we
Wow.
have
Okay.
pretty grand expectation.
I was going to say how. How are you? How are you? How are you planning? It's funny. I do follow your social media. You do treat your employees very nice. I know. You treat them like family there, right? With such. But where do you expect to kind of get some of these people that will come in? And, some of the, this isn't just off the shelf. This is some skilled work that you're going to need from people to do this.
Absolutely. So the first step is, we've been working on it, developing an apprenticeship training program is the
Hmm.
first step, right? Is once you get them in the door, you have to have something to do with them and you have to show them how they can grow here and why it's worthwhile for them to build a career. Step two is again that career path, showing them
Right.
how, we don't have 17 supervisor positions opened up, but there is still a way for you to grow within your position here and how you can elevate on your own. And then as far as how we're getting them in, to be honest with you, employee referrals is probably our number one source of new
Mm.
employees. So we've focused a lot over the last since we started on employee culture and again treating them like family. Um, I know what I expect and what I enjoy as far as benefits and perks, and we try to pass along a lot of that, just being human to the rest of our
Mm.
team and try to build that into our policies and our benefits package. And like I said, we're grateful that our employees see that, and we've built a great culture. And as a result of that, they're helping us to recruit, the best of the best. They're not going to bring in their cousin that doesn't like to show up to work. They're picking.
Right. And
They're
and
picking.
I do find I hear that's good, because when you bring somebody in who's a relative or something, they don't want to embarrass that person, right? And they want to come in and do a good job, and they've heard good things, and that's always a big benefit when you can have somebody come in knowing that what to expect, because they've heard it from either a friend or a family member that's working there. So and it's incumbent upon you all to keep that level of culture up, right? To keep it going with that to
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh,
It's a
yeah.
lot, it's mostly, benefits and just showing appreciation. Another thing we started doing is we started working with EOS about 2 years ago, which is
Mm,
Entrepreneurial Operating System, based on a book, Traction by Gino Wickman. But
yes. Hmm.
it simplifies business, right? It's kind of like business for dummies. And it's really helped us to open up those lines of communication and get
Right.
everybody involved and, to communicate the bigger picture and those bigger goals that we want to achieve and how every person here plays a part of it. So that has really fed into our culture and helped to elevate it as well.
Yeah. Interesting because a lot of owners won't. They're just focused on throughput, right? And to take a step back and think about that, of like I said, I read that book, and it's very very interesting. A lot of shops do use that, and I know it's got a great proven success with it. But to really take a step back as owners and say this is what we want to do is not something a lot of owners will do. right? They'd rather just focus on sales and throughput, and not really worry about that. But it is a commitment, right, to keep it going with that and really get the buy-in from everybody, and also to really, like I said, communicate with people, the team as much as you possibly can, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for us was just that, we've always tried to be transparent and we've shared our financials with our team here. And, if the company's not doing well or if we're doing great, we make sure we share that news so there's no surprises or,
Hmm.
EOS, I think for us at the time, we were really struggling with just a good system of how to communicate and how to define what our goals are. And
Right.
I always thought core values were kind of like 3 words you pick out of the sky and you stick them on a wall somewhere, but really focusing in on that and realizing that if you hire people that fit to your core values, how that ties to culture and all these things. It's all these little pain points that we had, and then listening to a lot of different EOS implementers and reading the book, and we're like, well, this is hitting all those pain points, so
Right.
maybe we should give it a
Right.
shot. And the first year is always a little bumpy, but now that we're in it and we've identified a lot of these pain points and finally been able to put them behind us, move more towards that strategic planning. It's not so much like more revenue. It's
Right.
thinking more towards the future and how are we building this and what fun things can we do now. So
Right. I mean, your staff is your biggest expense, and that's something you've got to have operating just as good as any machine there. They've got operating with that. So I'm trying to think of what year it was when you and Sarah stepped in. What year was that?
2009.
2009. Wow, that's
Yeah.
been a while. I didn't. Yeah. One thing I was going to ask you is you all I don't even. This wasn't really your career move back then, right? It was kind of a sudden thing there with that. Thinking back then and now, I mean, you probably will realize that you've learned so much about not just the industry but also running a business. I'm assuming, uh, uh, you know, uh, you probably look back at those early years and wonder, what were you thinking? What some of the things, but it really is true. Like I said, you get better as you keep doing this, right? The more years that you get to tack on.
Absolutely. I was thinking about this the other day because my daughter's 24 now,
Hmm.
and I was 27 when I took over the company. And
Wow.
to think of like my daughter trying to run,
Run.
I was thinking about it, I was like, I was so naive back then, and like I was
Right.
so overly confident for somebody of that age. But, thank
Right.
goodness I was. I was, probably a little cocky at the time, but um, thinking back now, I think we did a lot of things the right way. I think
Right.
we were slow and meticulous about a lot of the decisions that we made, and it was more about not rocking the ship too much so we don't sink the boat kind of a
Right.
scenario. We didn't make any hasty decisions. We still don't. We do tend to talk about a lot of things as a team. um, I'm a big, risk assessment kind of person, and I want to know what
Hmm.
are all the challenges we can face and how can we mitigate that risk before we take a
Right.
path forward. And we're still operating the same way a day, except for maybe, we've learned a lot of hard lessons over the last 15 years, and now we're able to use that knowledge to help hopefully prevent future mishaps. But, with business, you just never know, right? I mean, as soon as you think you have everything spinning in the right direction,
Right.
something like COVID's going to hit or the next
Right.
recession. And it's hard to plan for everything. But
Right.
in this
Yeah.
industry, it's such a tight knit, close family feel with the plating industry and just manufacturing in general that um, I know that we're never the first person to have faced that challenge. And if you reach out to enough people, somebody has the solution or can
Yeah.
offer a helping hand in some way, or at least an ear to listen to and let you vent for a second so you know you're not alone. So
Right. Yeah. I was going to say it. And I know, those first months or years it was like, drinking from a fire hose, I'm sure, just absorbing that there's no playbook that you can turn to with those type of things. But yeah, so this project is in the books. It's running. Everything's up and going for you. Correct. I mean, everything's
it's
with that. Do you
installed, almost running.
almost running? Right. Right. Cut the ribbon and let's see if it works now. But yeah, let's see. But I mean, what's on the drawing plan? I mean, do you have other things that, I'm sure everybody would like to, if you had unlimited resources to do things, you could certainly do them. But what else? You got anything else planned for coming up or?
So now we're kind of again working towards, last year was our 45th anniversary in business,
Hmm.
and kind of planning towards our 50th year anniversary now. So we're working on a strategic plan to basically redevelop our entire building.
Mm.
So now, we've got the renovations done and we've got the new lines installed on the one side, but carrying it through the rest of the aesthetics throughout the rest of the company and bringing up, this isn't our dad's plating shop anymore. This isn't, a 70s plating
Right.
shop. We want it to look modern, and we want it to not only impress our customers, but we want our employees to feel like they're at home and that they have something that they can be proud of too. So a lot of new renovations coming our way, and then working on developing a new coating. So that'll be fun to announce hopefully in the
Right.
next year or so here.
Oh, gotcha. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be great to do. It's funny I know you were part of a lot of trade organizations, not just in finishing, right? Just business owners in general, manufacturers, and that's got to be important to be, like you said, to be able, um, you know, at a luncheon or something, to talk to somebody who's, again, maybe it's not a finishing operation, but they run a business, right? And you're able to sort of bounce ideas off of them, or steal an idea from them, which is always great too. But that's something that you and Sarah have really been involved in a lot of, really, I think, building that network of people that can help you, give you advice and such down the road, right? Because again, I mean, a lot of owners, they there was a transition, right, from the previous owner to here. Not in your case, but I know, but I know you had some very skilled, talented people already working there that you were able to lean on. But really, I mean, having those contacts around the Chicago area nationally, I'm assuming that's got to help sometimes to bounce ideas and ask advice, and and to see what they're doing as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not even just, manufacturing and its plating industry, but then there's also that family owned component and being a small
Right.
business. So, building up a network of people around you that can help you. I think, right after our dad passed away, the first step was, I think, admitting we don't know it all. And,
Mm.
being able to accept that and lean on other people to help us fill in those gaps, was essential, I think, to our survival. And, the outpouring of support that we received from, a lot of different associations around here, a lot of our competitors, even, and even our own employees, which many of them are still with us here today.
Right.
Um, it's tremendous. That sense of community, that sense of, being part of something larger than just your own, four walls is huge. And like I said, even if somebody else isn't able to solve it, sometimes having that opportunity to just vent to somebody that understands where you're coming from, can help just relieve some of that pressure and make you realize you're not alone and it's all going to be all right.